The Rings of Fate Scene 10. A pink dummy was thrust into my quivering lips and held there until I stopped crying. However, my tormentor did not stop. I have seen all those pictures on your computer, David. I especially like the ones of me in my old body with your head on. Mom will too when I show her. They will prove how much you really wanted to be a baby girl. As I struggled to control my sobbing, I recalled the pictures I had cut and pasted of Susie and me. The images were the nearest I would get to wearing Susie's baby clothes, I had thought at the time. That was until Dad brought the rings home. Why did he bring them home? I wailed. Why did I use them? I will be wearing her baby clothes for the rest of my life now. It isn't fair, I wept bitterly. And once Mom has seen them, I will delete them. I wouldn't want anyone to think that I, a grown boy of 16, had any desire to be a baby and wear baby clothes, she continued. After all, I have had 16 years in them. They are all yours now, ha ha ha. She soon stood before me with another frilly baby outfit on a hanger which she hung on the side of the changing table. A pair of frilly baby pants being drawn up my chubby little legs, her eyes dancing with absolute delight as she pulled them over my napped bottom, snapping the elastic band flamboyantly on my baby stomach. It's amazing how these plastic-lined knickers will keep all your disgusting stinky poos safely in your nappy, yet still look so pretty. The elastic does bite into your legs and they make you want to tear them off. But you will find, David, that you do not have the strength to do it, and as you will spend most of your life strapped in baby reins, you will not be able to reach anyway. I felt a pair of frilled ankle socks being pulled on my feet, a pair of baby shoes followed. She buckled these on so tightly I squeaked in pain. "Oh, way did I hurt the ickle baby waby then," she said in mock concern. "We have to make sure babies' shoes don't come off, don't we? Little babies like you are always trying to take their shoes and clothes off, even though with your little chubby hands and your lack of coordination you cannot." She picked up a voluminous baby petticoat and began thrusting it over my head. "Just think, David, only a day ago you could have dressed yourself in anything you chose. Now you cannot even buckle on your pretty baby shoes or take off your pretty pettus," she mocked. The dress quickly followed, along with a frilly matching baby bonnet. She picked me up and carried me over to the mirror. "There you are, baby, don't you look a picture?" she smirked, flouncing out the petticoats I wore. "Are you still turned on by your affection, David?" she whispered again. "I guess not. I know when I was in that baby body I never felt anything like I did when I was with Leslie last night," she said. She puffed up the sleeves of my dress. "Isn't it strange, David, when you were a grown boy it turned you on immensely to think of and see yourself as a baby girl. Now I am in your body it turns me on immensely to think of and to see you as a baby girl," she chortled. "And I can assure you, David, that I intend to make sure you know exactly what being a baby girl's is like, David, and the more humiliating it is for you the more turned I get, ha ha ha." Helplessly I buried my frilly bonneted head into my former manly shoulder, tears soaking Susie's shirt as she carried me downstairs. If I had listened to my inner voice of reason I would not be in my former arms now dressed as a baby girl. Susie was evidently discovering her sexual predilections. Having me in this humiliating position was obviously one of them. Due to my own experience I began to realize that Susie had only just started to enjoy her humiliation of me. Things could only get worse. And as I had put myself in this baby body, I was helpless to stop her. "Do you know what I think would be nice, baby? A visit to the cafe to see all your old friends. I am meeting Leslie there this afternoon. I am sure Mom will let me take you," Susie went on. "I am sure you will hate seeing all your old friends enjoying their freedom as grown adults whilst you are strapped in your pushchair, ha ha ha." I shuddered as her words confirmed my concerns as I imagined myself among my friends, only this time looking up from a stroller whilst being treated like baby. She took me into the lounge where Mother was waiting. "Here she is, all dressed up to show Mommy what a cute wickle baby she is," Susie sang, handing me over to her. "Oh my, I know I said to get him dressed, but I didn't mean you to dress him so babyishly, even you was rarely dressed so filly," Mother admonished her, sitting me on her lap, fussing with my clothes. "There is a bottle in the warmer. I have also made you a nice cup of coffee. They are in the kitchen." "Thanks, Mom, I will get them." Susie strode off. Mother sat me round to face her. I think it's time you stop crying, baby. It was you who did this to yourself, she ordered. I am not going to put up with the tantrums you have displayed since you did this to yourself. All the time you were growing up, your father and I impressed on what is right and wrong. As soon as you were old enough, we gave you responsibilities, telling you that you were responsible for your own actions and the consequences of them. You used those rings yourself, David. You are now going to have to face up to the consequences of your actions. You are now trapped in this baby girl's body permanently. Her words did nothing to comfort me. Instead, more tears flowed as my feelings of being sorry for myself washed over me. Here you go, Mom, I hearted Susie behind me, seeing a full bottle of baby milk being handed to her. Mother shuffled me around, laying me back in the crook of her arm, removing my dummy. It was replaced by the latex rubber teat of the baby bottle. As slowly sucked down the sickly sweet contents, Mother told Susie that she knew all along we had swapped minds. How did you know, Mum? Susie asked contritely. I knew the moment I walked in after I had been to the mall, Mother admitted. David would never had put Susie's clothes in the washing machine. He wouldn't know how, Mother told her. I had watched you do it so many times at your feet, Susie admitted. So I suspected something was not quite right. One look in our bedroom confirmed that the rings had been disturbed. The look on your face when I confronted you with them was all the confirmation I needed. Baby's tantrum when I put them in the safe only served to prove my theory was right. So why didn't you change us back? Susie asked, still looking down at me being firmly coddled on Mother's knee. I was going to, but after David had learnt his lesson. I was only going to keep him like that for a day, just to show him what being a baby was really like. Fancy a grown boy wanting to be a baby, Mother tut-tutted, shaking her head. So why didn't you? Susie was grinning now. Well, I was worried about you going back to being a baby, and because he was acting so babyish himself, throwing tantrums to gain attention, it was him who did this to himself, for goodness sake, Mother said. So I thought if he wants to be a baby, let him stay as one. Mother looked down at me feeding, a maternal smile on her face. But as we know who is actually in that baby body, I guess we will have to treat him differently, she said. What do you mean, Mom? Well, I know he looks like a baby girl, and talks like a baby too, and we know he will never grow up. He has the mind of an adult and we should treat him as such, Mother explained. Susie's face contorted. You do know that I have had a developing mind for years, don't you, Mother? I watched Susie speaking to Mother as she continued to feed me. No, I didn't know that, Mother exclaimed. David knew, she lied. But he threatened me. He said that you would have me adopted if you found out. He said that you adored having me as a permanent baby and would hate it if I grew up. So he told me to continue acting like a baby if I wanted to stay with the family. My eyes widened as Susie spoke. Go ga ga ga, I spluttered, trying to spit out the bottle teat, in an attempt to defend myself, forgetting for a second that I could not utter one intelligible word. Mother's hold on me became firm as I squirmed, pushing the bottle tight to my lips, cutting off my garbled protests. Why would he do that? She asked, a flash of anger in her eyes. Because he was scared that if you found out I was not a baby anymore, you would start dressing me in different clothes, Susie continued to lie. I don't understand, Mother looked daggers at me. When you were not around, David used to hold my baby clothes up to himself and abuse himself while looking in the mirror, Susie stated. In fact, one time he pinned a white towel to himself and did it while sat in my playpen. I was in my cot at the time. I have heard about such practices, Mother spat. Whatever makes a grown boy want to wear nappies and baby clothes? Oh, David just didn't want to wear my clothes, Susie smirked, watching me squirming in Mother's arms. He truly wanted to be a baby girl. He has created pictures on his computer, his head on my baby body. There are also stories to that effect. She was not lying about the pictures or the stories, but it was all fantasy. Never did I truly want to be a real baby girl. It was the clothes and the thought of being a baby that had turned me on. Susie knew exactly what the effects would be of her lies. She was trapping me further into babyhood. It wasn't enough for her that we had swapped bodies. she wanted Mother to ensure I fully lived out her life as a baby girl. That she was enjoying condemning me further into babyhood was evident to me. I had seen that look in my old eyes many times as I viewed myself in a mirror holding up a baby dress to myself. Is that so? And to think I nearly allowed you to swap back places, you horrid boy, Mother fumed before looked back at Susie. We would never had you adopted, Susie. We continued to treat you as a baby because we thought you were one. If we had known that you were developing, we would have done everything to encourage you. It must have been awful for you thinking you had to act like a baby under the threat of adoption. It was Mom. Susie forced tears into my old eyes. I hated having to gurgle happily when I played with my stupid baby toys in my playpen. It was so humiliating for me to be among real babies at the daycare center being fed and changed by strangers. I can't imagine what it was like for you, Mother told her. I was being forced to play out his fantasies, she sobbed realistically, because he couldn't be a baby, he forced me to be one. It wasn't fair. I had squirmed so much that my dress had ridden so high, showing fully my frilly baby panties, my nappy poking through the leg openings. Mother pulled the bottle out of my mouth, replacing it immediately with a dummy. Spit that out if you dare, she threatened, picking me up, placing me into the playpen. I watched through pink bars as Mother hugged Susie, comforting her with soothing words. Mother stood with her back to me, her arms around my former body, Susie looking directly at me over her shoulder. Susie was actually crying now. It was almost embarrassing to see my old body crying. David was horrid to me, Mother, she wept. He used to spank me if I refused to act like a baby. Don't worry, dear, it's your turn to be horrid, and you can spank him whenever you wish, Mother assured her. Can we make him act like a real baby too? She asked, mock tears streaming down her face, yet grinning at me as I looked on. You have my word on that, Mother promised, turning to join Susie in looking down at me in my baby prison cell. Well, David, you are going to get your wish, she sneered, looking down at me. You wanted to know what it would be like to be a real baby girl you will be. She picked me up. I was trembling. We are going to keep you to exactly the same nursery routines as Susie had. You will be spending lots of time in your playpen and cot, you will always wear your reins when being taken for a walk, you will visit the daycare center at least 3 times a week with the real babies, and you will play with the little girls next door. I burst into baby wails. Mother smacked my bare leg hard. And do not think I am going to put up with that sort of behavior, David, because I am not, she said angrily. You chose to put yourself in Susie's body, nobody else did this to you, you have only yourself to blame. If I tell you to stop crying, I expect you to stop. Do I make myself clear? I nodded, trying to control my sobs.